welcome to episode 5 of the Groovy Beet podcast. I am your host, Jamie Nicole, holistic health and empowerment coach, also known as the natural healing coach. And just so you know, if you haven't caught the prior episodes and this is your first time tuning in, as a health coach, I help busy professionals and purpose-driven leaders. And by that, I mean anyone from a corporate executive to a stay-at-home mom who's a Girl Scout leader. I help them make healthier choices through dietary and lifestyle changes that helps them increase their energy, reduce their stress, increase their overall productivity, and overall well-being and wellness in life. So today on the playlist, on the Groovy Beet playlist, we're talking about the third essential of the 7 essentials of optimal health that I outlined in episode 2, safe movement. We're talking about Fitness RX, your prescription, movement as medicine. And I am so glad we have 2 guests with us today, Clifton Boudreaux and Lou Jones of Why Not Be Great LLC. How are you guys doing this afternoon?
Doing great.
Doing
Thank
incredible.
you for having us. Happy Friday. Happy birthday to Jamie.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday.
You did not know today is her birthday.
Well,
but
thank
yes.
you very much.
Yeah.
Another year older, another year greater.
Hey.
Blessed to be alive,
'Cause
right?
why not?
And
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
And just for full disclosure, I just want them to know I'm going to ask you to tell them a little bit more about yourself, a little bit more about Why Not Be Great LLC. But also I want to share with the audience that I started working with Cliff, about a month ago? And you're going to see why. If you know anything about me, I'm into community. I'm into functional medicine, making sure that I can function properly just because I have a bunch of health conditions. And it's not just about looking good. It's about feeling good and being our best and being healthy. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Cliff, who's going to introduce himself, tell us a little bit more about himself, and why not be great.
Okay, so again, Clifton Boudreaux Jr. Shout out to my dad. And so the company is Why Not Be Great LLC, and our motto is to help people look great, feel great, and actually be great. And so I actually let Lou tell a little bit of our backstory. But we kind of came about doing things, and there's just a need for just various aspects other than just looking a certain way. Most people do get attracted to the gym by the idea of losing weight, looking like this model they saw on TV, that sort of thing. And the aesthetics, I mean, it has its benefits. We do want to look great. But fortunately, it's not the only benefit.
It's not the only benefit,
that comes with a lot of things, and we begin to realize that as we remain consistent and continue to do our thing. And so, Lou, I'll kind of let you give a little bit of our backstory, and then I'll piggyback off of that.
All right. So kind of looking into it, met Cliff at actually an apartment complex that I lived in across the street from a gym that he was starting to work at and I was working out at. Walked past him in the lobby and was just like, hey, man, you got this shirt on. I never seen you in there. Like, where did you get it from? He's like, well, I just started there kind of deal. Got into just what he was doing, what kind of training he was into. He asked me about, my size and how did I get to my size kind of deal. And we just began to be workout partners, actually. Told me he was working at a kickboxing studio not too far from the apartment that he was about to start living in that I lived at, and said they might be looking for people, and I had a mixed martial arts background. That was actually my first intro to fitness.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it didn't start till like 26, 27 is when I actually started working out, so roughly about 6 years ago. And then they said they might be looking for some people, and so was the gym that he was about to start working at, so I was like, okay. I'm
networking.
I was looking to get into that industry from corporate America. I have an HR background. And so kind of dove into it there. Cliff and I became work partners, and then best friends. And from there, we just started trade secrets, I guess you could say, of fitness. I had a company at that time called Team GOE, which is just Gym Over Everything. And our motto was Why Not Win? And he had started a nonprofit on campus of HBU. And it was a time to be great,
Oh, okay.
So like we were like a dynamic duo when we coached kickboxing together. And one day someone just said, like, why not be great? Like they combined the 2 companies we had, and I was like, we'll be able to help a lot more people if we got together because our ideas and our mantra was virtually the same. And that's kind of how Why Not Be Great was formed, roughly about 2 years ago, tops. We licensed it a year ago in September, so we're a little over a year old now, but just trying to influence and inspire as many people as we can, which is ultimately my dream is to touch everybody that I run into in some way.
Awesome, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you guys on the show, because I've been watching what you've been doing. I didn't know the backstory, though. That is an awesome backstory.
It started as a phrase, turned into a community, and then through a bittersweet turn of events, it actually turned into a business, and so here we are.
Awesome. So again, I've been watching you guys for a while on Facebook, on social media, on Instagram. You've been doing a lot in the past 6 months. One of the big things that I like about what you do is the community part of it. So can you tell us a little bit more about the community that you're starting with Why Not Be Great?
Yes. So one of those things, as far as, we talk about, and this is just growth period, whether it's, physical, spiritual, etc., being around like-minded people and the type of effect that it has on your journey. When we see it done, we know it's possible. And once we know it's possible, we're more likely to actually engage in the activities and do it. What we think, we become. And so belief in yourself is very important. And so seeing someone else do something inspires yourself. Like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. And so the success rate just goes through the roof, being like-minded and just not being isolated. And so regardless of backgrounds, regardless of where people are coming from, when goals are pretty much the same or at least very similar, they share in the vision, they're just the success. Like, I don't have any specific statistics on that, but even speaking for myself, when I first started working out and just getting into things, whenever growth was the goal, doing it alone it did not work. That's why we go to school. That's why we have teachers. That's why we have mentors. That's why we have someone to kind of lead us, guide us, point us in the right direction, if not a partner to engage on this journey with us, just so that we can increase those chances of reaching.
And that touched my spirit so much, just because when I first started on my journey, I was successful because I had a partner with me. And I think it was back in 2015. It was just walking. When you're first starting out, right, and you're just getting into fitness, having that other person there to push you when you don't want to get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's the only thing that kept me going. And actually, just so the audience will know, I'm working out. Like I said, been working out with Cliff for about maybe 2 months now, on and off over the holidays. Getting ready to ramp it up for this next month. The same partner that I started out with in 2015 is the same partner that I have now. Incredible. That pushes me, and so I'm so grateful for that, and glad that you have that philosophy and that you have the ability. We have the ability to do that with the offerings that you have, the 2-for-1 offerings that you have, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Another thing though about the community that I feel like people in fitness don't really get to tap into is understanding the personal background of it. So like collectively, you and I might say we're in it to lose 20 pounds, but what if we sit down and figure out that the situations that we've dealt with in life and the self-confidence situations, or how we feel, how we look, how life has hit us, we both can say, well, wow, you've been through that and I've been through that as well. So it's not just a physical journey. It becomes I understand who you are as a person and why you have this goal. So now I can inspire you by saying, hey, dude, we're not going to let this take you away from that. I've been through that. I've survived that. Here's how I did it. And now you become closer, and that's what really connects our community, because it's not just about working out. It's about understanding and identifying other issues that has led to these situations and how we can overcome those barriers and continue to grow. And I think that's what makes us special, what makes our community a family, because I know you outside of the gym. Yeah,
it's that emotional connection that keeps you connected and it's, for me, I like that too, because it's almost like why I do the dance fitness. I'll get out of bed and help and go to the gym for other people. More so than I would for myself. I'm benefiting myself in the long run, but I know those people are counting on me and need me, and I need them just as much. So it drives me to want to do better, work harder, and make sure that I show up for them and they show up for me as well.
There are so many aspects to that, and not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
As you were saying that, it just made me think. Sometimes it'll actually guilt trip you, because you know for a fact that, hey, so and so is a part of this community. Let's say I'm making every excuse in the world. I don't feel like working out tomorrow. I worked a 12-hour shift yesterday, such and such. But I've got this friend in the group, or maybe I don't even know her, but I know of her. She shows up, she works out. She worked a 16-hour shift, 2 16s, had no sleep, got 3 kids at home, single mother. But she's still here getting it in. So what excuse do I have?
Yeah.
Why am I here sulking? Why am I not making something of what I have?
Yeah. It's almost like the phrase that you hear a lot of times in the church, like you might be the only Bible that someone knows.
Yes, that is so true.
So you get up there because like they might be the only fitness individual that they know or that they can identify with, and so if you start to slack, like what all happens from that? Like your choices don't just affect you, kind of deal.
And so it's so funny that you say that. It's this one lady that I have in a group of mine that I have with my dance fitness, and I remember when Cliff told me that my dance fitness classes didn't count. Right? And that I had to get in 10 miles a week. I was like, 10 miles? How am I going to make that happen? But then I see Miss Deborah. Miss Deborah is posting that she's doing 8 miles before she goes to class. Miss Deborah is in her 60s.
Exactly.
What excuse do I have,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
I need to go ahead and get up. I'm like, oh, Miss Deborah. She posted
seeing
that.
is
But
believing.
having that community is that motivation is everything.
Yeah.
It really is everything. So I'm so excited. We haven't even touched on the topic of the day, but we've been
Right.
having such a good conversation. So right now we're going to cut for a break from our sponsor. If you're watching on Facebook, and we'll be right back.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Icare. Icare Autism Treatment Center specializes in providing center-based ABA therapy services for children with autism and intellectual disabilities ages 2 and up. With experienced professional staff, Icare Autism Treatment Center will work with your child in an individualized manner to bring out their full potential. We offer programs including behavior management, skills acquisition, and social skills to assist in age-appropriate development. Icare is currently accepting new patients. For more information about Icare, go to www.icareabatherapy.com or contact them at area code 281-781-8703.
If you're watching on Facebook, welcome back. Right now, we're going to continue the conversation. We have so many topics that we're going to be talking about that I want to make sure that you get a chance and opportunity to listen to. So we're going to sign off of Facebook right now, but make sure that you're connected with the Groovy Beet podcast on all podcasting networks. Additionally, the full video of this interview will be posted on my YouTube page. So I'll post a link to that as well. So make sure you go back and you listen and you get all of the good nuggets that we're going to be talking about for the remainder of this podcast. See you soon, and thank you for joining us. All right, guys, let's continue the conversation, right?
All right.
The topic for today is Fitness RX, movement as medicine. And I know one of the reasons why I decided to work with Cliff. Number one, I think I'm a dance and fitness instructor, but that has nothing to do with what I want to accomplish with my body.
Got it.
And I feel as though every trainer or every instructor, even trainers, every trainer needs a trainer, every health coach needs a health coach. You need someone that's going to inspire you, number one, but number two, see things that you don't see. Right? It'd be able to push you and drive you and help you grow as an individual. One of the reasons why I chose to work with you guys, and my audience has known if you've watched before, I have autoimmune disease, which I've tried it on my own before as far as weightlifting and body weight training, but I'm always consistently breaking down. And when I do that, I lose all motivation. I don't want to continue, or even if I do have the motivation, I'm unable to continue. So one of the things I liked about Cliff, this is what we talked about earlier, is that we're not just looking at aesthetics, right? We have a lot of trainers out there that are just doing it only for competitions, or they just want their clients to look a certain way, but we're not worried about how you're functioning. Are you able to live your best life on a daily basis, aside from looking good, aside from training from a competition? So we talked about training functionally. So I just want to talk a little bit about that today. Why is that so important, and how is it done?
Okay, so I'll start. You can pick up off of it. My background, a little bit of my background, I actually come from a sports medicine background. That's what my degree is in. And being able to work with a lot of athletes, collegiate level athletes, I mean, obviously they're good at their craft. They're very active, and even being able to see just with that elite group, that after prolonged activity and working towards a goal, et cetera, we do create muscle imbalances within the body. And a lot of times, some of these chronic issues that we develop, whether it be knee pain, lower back pain, is literally just from providing a repetitive stress on the body, and then from a misalignment or just whatever it may be from, and we didn't have anyone either paying attention to us, because we're in this large group setting, so we don't have a set of eyes to necessarily tell us, hey, if you don't lean this much on the left side, then you could correct what's going on here on the right side, or if you strengthened your glutes, then you could take away some of that knee pain, or your hamstrings and quads are so much stronger than your IT band and your glute medius. That's why your back is hurt. We don't get that from ourselves, because you need someone else to see it, to point it out to you. You're going to compensate by default. So just having those extra set of eyes to actually, one, tell you and make you aware of it so that you can do something about it is important. And so I kind of just slide it over to Lou, but yes, you're exactly right. We've had trainers, we've had coaches, and even now we take turns training each other, just so that we can continue to go and grow. So,
for me, it's just trying to get people to understand the importance of how their body moves today and what they want it to be able to do 20, 30, 40 years from now. Kind of deal.
On that one,
because that's very important, and a lot of times we don't think that far ahead. It's a big deal when I tell people, just imagine a simple movement as putting a shoebox at the top of your closet kind of deal. You don't want to have a machine for that. You want to be able to do functional things for the rest of your life. And so fitness is like the medicine or the tool, I guess you would say, to make sure you get there. Understanding that, being able to get on and off of a couch for the rest of your life is something that, you never want to take for granted. There's people today that can't do that at the age of 30, 35. So I'm 33 years old, and I don't want to ever have to, especially considering my size. I'm like, somebody got to pick me up. I'm in trouble. So I'm just really getting into how does your body move? What hurts on your body? I really got into understanding how one muscle affects the other through just my training and education myself. As in, I think around the age of 20 to maybe 27, 28, I had really bad knee problems. It wasn't until I met with a coach and they started examining my body that they realized my quads were overcompensating for the lack of strength that I had in my glutes and my hamstrings, and that was causing knee issues. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, you would never. I've had that happen too. You never would think that the pain is in one area, but it's coming from a different area.
I just got bad knees.
You wouldn't know that.
Is it genetics? I'm like, no, not at all. My father and my mother walk very well in my family. I'm like, what is it? And that literally is what happened. So through just bodybuilding training, actually strengthening my glutes, getting ready to hit the stage, so everything had to be proportionate. I got up one day with no knee problems, no exaggeration.
And I'm glad you said that about the couch and the age being functional, because that's that's the issues that I sometimes have now, and why I wanted to start training more, because I was having those issues, and I just turned 39 today, but I've been having these issues for years now. And every time my dad would be like, Jamie, if you're having those problems now at 33, what are you going to be like at 63?
Exactly.
So I'm like, I need to start making sure that I do something about that now, because heaven forbids, I like to go all the time and do lots of different things. If I'm not able to do that, that's not only a physical impact, but a mental and emotional impact as well, if I can't function the way that I want to function.
Exactly, because I'm going to just go out on a limb here and say that you enjoy dancing. Right, so you enjoy dancing. Dancing brings you joy, right? And joy is just literally, that's living, right? That's making sure that the existing versus living. It's being able to do the things that bring you that kind of joy and that kind of peace. Imagine if those things start to be stripped away from you for whatever reason. If we can get in front of it and understand our body and what we like to do and how we can preserve our body to be able to do these things for the rest of our life, we're not only talking about aesthetics at that point, we're talking about peace. You can't put a price on that.
You cannot. Yes, exactly. And a lot of people don't even realize that.
Exactly.
They don't even realize until it's too late.
Right?
Sometimes they can wait till the problem gets too bad. And that's what we're trying to prevent now, making sure that not only that we use fitness as medicine, but we also use it for preventative measures as well. So that being said, for the audience that does not know what functional exercises are, can you kind of tell them the difference between what you would consider standard exercises just for a particular body part versus what you need to do for a functional workout?
I have a perfect example. And I don't have, they go by different names. And of course, for those of you who aren't seeing the video, It's may be a little tough to imagine, but there's a particular ab move. We know our core. We tend to use it in pretty much day-to-day living, most things that we do. And so you'll see a lot of people grab a weight in one hand and just lean to one side in an attempt to just work the obliques. And yes, they do touch on it, but functionally speaking, you would never pick something up off the floor like
that and lean to the side.
Exactly.
You would never do that. So a way to make that functional is to mimic, okay, what do I do when I go to pick something up off the floor? Okay, now let's do that with a weight. Let's reach for that dumbbell. Let's come across the body, reach as if we're trying to pick up a bag off of the floor. Let's turn, let's come back as if I'm trying to grab my purse off the back seat. Let's reach up as if we're grabbing that box of cereal off the refrigerator.
I've hurt my shoulder trying to reach back and then get that purse off the back seat sometimes. That's
probably
in
a
the
little too
like,
tight.
oh yeah. So
I agree. So like just defining it, I guess a little straightforward for people who are listening to us. Functional movements or functional exercises just mimic daily activities. As simple as standing up and getting off the couch. What did we just do there? Air squat. You just literally just squatted right there. A pressing motion. You literally like picking something up and putting it on top of a top shelf in your pantry, or folding a towel and putting it in the top shelf of your linen closet or something like that. That is a functional movement. So pressing a dumbbell above my head is putting me in a position to make sure that I can put something on the top shelf for the rest of my life, kind of deal. Like that, simple things like that. Or even a movement that everybody hates in exercise. I haven't met a person that loves a burpee yet. But imagine
what is that mimicking?
Getting your behind off the floor. Like, just think about, like, if you're on the ground and you have to get yourself off the ground, that's no different. You got down you fell to the ground, and you have to pick yourself back up. That's a burpee. But burpee is a very functional movement. Heaven forbid, you guys going to fall. But know that if you do that, right,
I'll be able to get back up pretty fast.
You can get back up, and that's important, right? And so, and I got really into functional movements in the last year being a CrossFit coach. I was really understanding, like, this is the purpose of it. There's a lot of movements that we do that are just about being able to function, and it's the reason why they don't use machines, because you don't want to need a machine. You need to be the machine. And so that's why we're really into how does your body move versus how it's supposed to move, and how can we correct it so it's that way forever for the longevity of life. Functional movements.
All right. So I have another question, or a common ailment, right? One that I'm experiencing right now, and that you mentioned, knee pain.
Yeah.
Right? So what are some common moves, and I hear this all the time in my classes as well. What can people do to reduce that type of pain that they have, or prevent themselves from getting those type of injuries? Is there something that people do often that you see, oh, I did this particular move, I was running. What is it that causes these knee pain the most, and what can people kind of do to prevent it from progressing or from getting it in the first place?
Okay, so again, same format. I'll start, and we'll just go from there. So speaking of the knee in general, it's a joint capsule, and so in and of itself, there's always something that's connected to it that is causing the issues, whether it be medial, lateral, et cetera, et cetera. So we always want to start looking either above or below, okay? And we, as low as the feet. I know some people, they don't think to look at the feet when they're having knee issues, but long story short, if the fascia in the feet are tight, then your feet will not absorb shock the way that they're supposed to.
And a lot of people don't even realize that. It's not intuitive, right? So yeah.
So if you're not absorbing shock in your feet, you will absorb it somewhere else. So shin splints, knee injuries, up to the hips and lower back. I mean, that whole connective chain can just be thrown off by one simple thing. So definitely process of elimination, looking above and below, seeing, okay, do my feet feel tight? Do they feel like they could use a little massage, things like that? Or coming up, do my hips feel tight? Am I feeling something in my lower back? Okay. In relation to my knee, what else is bothering me? And then we can kind of go from there. And so there are certain exercises that you would or would not do based on what may or may not be causing it. But I always encourage people to look above and below. One of the things that you can do by default is, take a hot bath. It's easy to just get in the tub at home and kind of let everything relax along that whole chain, as opposed to just putting the heating pad on the knee or only taking care of the knee. Everything that's connected to that knee needs some TLC too. So they can always start there, and then from there, it's a matter of actually, getting a second opinion and kind of seeing, okay, what can you see that I can't, sort of thing.
And I remember you telling me also to do stretches, like while you're in the tub and then afterwards while your muscles are warm.
Yes. So a lot of times the tension that is causing the knee pain is exactly that. It's tension and it needs to be relaxed. So there is quite a few different ways to stretch. Most of the time when we're doing traditional static stretches and things like that, we are able to open up the muscle bellies. But if it's a ligament or a tendon type issue, then we do need to take some other methods or other routes to actually help relieve the tension there. You have massage, you have assisted stretching. Sometimes you can get some little tools and actually have them at home, such as like some of the gua sha stones and things like that, just to help relieve the tension along like IT bands, things that aren't actual muscle bellies, because it's all connected, and if one's tight, the other will be too.
And just to clarify, you don't necessarily have to wait until you feel the tightness in order to do these things. These are things that you can do.
I would encourage you not wait for that tightness. And we hear it all the time. Stretch this, stretch that, do stretching here, stretch there. And for most of the population, those who are working out, I mean, we see it. We go into a commercial gym like Dynamic or 24. A lot of people don't even warm up. They just walk in, hop on machine, do some things, and then they leave. There's no stretching involved. There's no warm up. There's no cool down. There's nothing to air towards the preservation of their body.
And I'm guilty of that as well. Even if I do warm up before I do my workout, the stretching afterwards is something that I really want to focus on, and the recovery portion of it in 2019. Again, especially because I'm injury prone. I've had injuries as far as a torn ligament in my shoulder and didn't even know it, right? Probably because I wasn't stretching, I wasn't building, I wasn't doing the proper things I needed to do, but I'm doing those exercises that are jarring on my joints without the proper recovery. And that's, people don't realize how important that is. And also it's a timing thing. Also, it's going back to what we were saying before. If you're just worried about the aesthetics, right? You're just worried about building muscle, not about the recovery portion of it. You're gonna work on what you consider to be priority, and that's what you're gonna give your limited time to. But going forward, I hope that everyone who's listening to this particular podcast or watching this podcast on YouTube, going forward, will start taking that more seriously and incorporating that as a part of their routine and not something that's secondary to what they are already doing.
Getting back to the actual just knee issues and things like that, where does it derive from, things like that? I tell people a lot of times, just look into the simple stuff. What kind of shoes do you wear on a daily basis? What kind of work do you do? What's your posture like? You know,
as I sit up.
How high is your chair? How low is your chair? What's your work chair like? What's your couch like? You know, things like that. Like when you walk, how do you walk heavy on the balls of your feet? Like, which means that all of that tension is being shot up through the shins into the knees from there. Like, do you walk flat-footed? Do you have low or high arches? Like that can play a really big part. And a lot of times people don't look into that. Like, oh, something wrong with my leg. I'm like, actually, you have very low arches. So Nikes would be very good for you because they're typically a high arch shoe, and that might be able to fix everything. But they're like, without talking to somebody, you would never know that these are the causes of your pain. Like, you just need a better shoe for the kind of activity that you do. Or, like, especially with ladies, a lot of times it's heels.
The chiropractor always says, why are you wearing those heels?
The heels.
I don't wear them as much anymore, though.
Yeah,
the older I've gotten, I'm like, now it's not worth it.
Yeah, getting into functional movements, right? Think about how we're trained to walk, how we're trained to move, and then think about how much that changes when you put on that heel. You're really trying to reverse the natural plane of motion of your body the moment you put on that stiletto, and now your knee has to overcompensate. And your knee now has to overcompensate for that change. And I'm not telling ladies not to wear heels. I'm not crazy, but however, be mindful, of how often you do it, and maybe you need to stretch after. Maybe you need to stretch your heels, your ankles after you take those shoes off to take the tension, or not allow the tension to build up throughout the whole leg, where the joint is going to overcompensate for everything.
And then not only that, since we're talking about shoes, not only the heels, but the proper shoes for the proper activity.
Yeah, big. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal, because I have my running shoes for running, and then I have my workout shoes, my gym shoes for when I'm twisting and spinning on the floor. And if I try to wear my running shoes when I'm working out or doing the dance fitness, it doesn't have the proper grip, so my foot might be going one way, and I'm trying to turn my leg another way, and then I'm going to have a problem.
And guess what takes the brunt force of that tension? The joint.
Yes.
All the time. The joint is going to overcome or try to make up for anything else that lacks. So ankle, knees, elbows, shoulders, the typical ailments that we have are always in those areas.
Yes. And I know we're short on time, but we're having such a good conversation. I'm not worried about the time right now, so I want to continue to go on a little bit more. I know we've talked about stretching, right, to either prevent injuries or reduce pain. Are there any other types of exercises that we can do? Because imagine most of my followers are again professional people. They sit at their desk all day, but that's bad for you. That's not good for your health or your joints or your body. Or they work out. They go to the gym and work out all the time. Is there anything for the desk person that they can do while they're at work, while they're at home, or the person who's short on time? They think they have to go to the gym to do a certain workout. Is there anything that they can do, either workout wise, number one, or to reduce pain wise, if that is their issue?
So quite a few things. Because of course, we think of stretching and we think of the traditional stretches that we did in PE class, that sort of thing. But when we're talking mobility, period. So not just muscle bellies, but again, just like Lou said, joints, hip mobility, ankle mobility, knee mobility. When your joints can actually open up and move, it creates room for those muscles, ligaments, tendons. It takes a lot of pressure off, and end result ends up being reducing pain, if not getting rid of it, just because your body is no longer under tension when it tries to move. So with that being said, it's nothing too strenuous, but again, just another example. Imagine you're trying to do a squat, but instead of just squatting on air, you're actually holding on to something that won't move, so you don't fall. But you hold on to that, give yourself the support with your arms to allow your hips to actually sink below your knees. And then just kind of act as a hip opener. You let gravity do the rest. You're not coming up and down. You're just holding what we would call a pause squat, but you're supporting yourself with your arms, and you're just letting gravity just kind of do its thing and let your body just open up on its own.
And that's something that you could technically do at work at your desk, right?
Exactly. If you were to get up and walk away, just taking a brief break, it's not something that's going to take 15 minutes to do. You can literally step to the side between 10 and 30 seconds. Just drop down, open up. Okay, and then one that is pretty simple, and this kind of gets you from top to bottom, is to literally just reach the hands overhead, reaching as high as you can, and actually come up on the toes. That actually ends up activating and releasing the glutes, the lower back, all the way up to the traps. And people who tend to sit all day, or they're sitting down, they go extended periods of time without moving. That just tends to wake everything back up, specifically on that posterior chain, because that's what falls asleep. We live in a front forward society. Everything we do is to the front, and so the muscles on the back just tend to be sleep by default.
Mine have been asleep before. They're probably asleep now.
Yeah, even just sitting down at a desk, there's simple movements, man. Like a lot of times I just take my heel, press into the floor, and point my toes up. That's me stretching my ankle. Or sitting in this chair, I'll grab my foot and just pull it back. And now I'm stretching and releasing my quads, because every time the knee bends, your quads are activated, right? So sitting here with my knees bent, my quads are activated. And if we sit here for an hour and talk, they can get tight. So if I just pull here and stretch 10 seconds at a time, okay, now they got a breather. It's almost like taking time off kind of deal. Quickly standing up. But a big thing that I don't think we touched on that you can do naturally, just focus on your breathing.
Oh, okay.
Just take time, quick. You're working, you're focused. Breathing is such a natural habit that sometimes we don't really focus on how to just breathe. Take a second while you're working, just 5-10 seconds, deep breath, hold it and relax. And that just relieves stress, which can actually help
release the muscles.
Releasing the muscles itself.
I'm big into the meditation and the breathing. Yeah, it's so helpful.
Yeah,
and making sure that you practice it before you get into a stressful situation too, so you'll know how to do it when those situations arise. And so I just wanted to reiterate those exercises. If you're a person that does not go to the gym, that you're sitting all day, you're working all day, you feel like you don't have time, or you're that person that does go to the gym a lot but doesn't focus on the stretching, you can find ways, like you said, you're sitting down, you're sitting down eating, you're sitting down at work. There are things you can do exercise-wise, stretching-wise, that will either help you get moving or get stretching, right?
Right.
There's no excuses, basically. No excuses.
Yeah, definitely no excuses. Eliminate excuses, destroy doubt. Okay. That's how you live.
I love all y'all say Louisms and Clifisms. I love it. Let me see. I think we've covered almost all of the topics. I know we've kind of touched on this throughout our conversation, but I really wanted you to, we talked about what makes you different with the community. Another thing that made you different in my eyes and why I decided to work with you is the kinesiology background and the recovery. Again, I've been so injury prone, and for me that has been discouraging and has prevented me from getting to the goal that I've been wanting for years, just because my body wouldn't function like it was supposed to. You also talked about it earlier when you were saying having someone watch you. And I love that about our workouts, because when I can't do something, before I would just get discouraged and just lay there on the floor. I'm like, I can't do this. There's no way possible. But you're able to show me modifications, other ways I can do it, other ways I can do the exercise. Or if I'm doing it, like you said, if I'm off balance on one side or if I'm overcompensating, you're able to help with that. So talk about that aspect of it as far as the recovery, and also your ability to watch and see what the person is doing and help them make those modifications as the workout goes on.
Okay. That actually ties directly into our mission, and kind of why we started this thing. Our motto for our business is your circumstance should never dictate your success. And that covers everything. And that includes what you feel that you may or may not be capable of doing. And for that, we also say modifications, adaptations, but no limitations.
All the time. He says it all the time.
So it may be hard, but not impossible. And there is a way for you to get to where you want to be. We just have to map that out. So typically, I'd say, one, again, my background being in sports medicine, I first started with college athletes coming off surgeries. For 3 years, I worked with collegiate athletes. And in that environment, it's not you got hurt, I guess that's it. No, because this is their livelihood. Like, they're on a scholarship. They're like, this is their bread and butter. There is no, they're hurt. No, you need to do whatever you can possible to get this person not just walking again. They need to be able to play. They need to be better than they were before they got hurt. Like, we don't want to know a difference. We shouldn't be able to tell they had a total knee replacement or ACL surgery or just whatever the case may be. And so being in that type of environment definitely helped a lot, because I was put on the spot plenty of times where it was like, okay, XYZ had this injury. I'm working with the team doctors from Memorial Hermann, but we did his surgery. You need to do his rehab. It's on you to get him back on the court, to keep him in playing shape or get him back to playing shape, so that he can perform and do what we brought him here to do. And so just being able to translate that to the general populace, same concepts. If you're unable to do this, here's what we will do until you can. Okay, we're gonna walk till we can run. We're gonna run until we can soar, sort of thing. And so just taking that mindset and applying it to what we have going on, and then of course having the education to back it up and the practical experience and the clinical experience to go along with that. It's just very fulfilling to be able to bring that over and apply it to everyone that we actually meet. So
it is, and I love the Cliff-isms and the motivation, because I'm like, I can't do it. And he'll say something. I'm like, yeah, Jamie, you can. There's no excuses. Get up. You can try one more time. So that is, people don't understand how important that is, and how that small difference in what you do and how you say it and how you motivate people can make the biggest difference in the world. And I would just want to say, from me to you, I appreciate that so much. So thank you for that.
Well, there's more to come. I promise you that.
So, in conclusion, you didn't touch on one other thing. I almost forgot the recovery portion of it, right?
Okay. Yes. So, in so many ways to tackle this, but more specifically, kinesiotherapy is what I call it, and it's just very similar to a lot of the things that you would find athletics trainers doing, again, for athletes. And so bringing that just to general population, active individuals, period. If you're active, you're doing things, you are an athlete. Okay.
All right.
And so with that being said, we do use quite a few modalities that you probably wouldn't just have as a staple in your home, as far as compressions, cryotherapy. You have quite a few different things, even Western medicine, cupping, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, even if you don't have access to things like that, I always encourage people to have something. Worst case scenario, they could freeze a bottle of water and use that to do some self-myofascial release techniques. Because a lot of times, whether we're working out or not, we do carry tension and stress, particularly in the traps and in the hips.
Yep, in the neck.
And that's just where it builds up, and it needs to be released. It needs to be released, and we can't always get to a massage, or we can't always set aside a full hour to go and get a massage.
But there's no excuses, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So worst case scenario,
why not be great?
why not you? Why not now?
Right.
You know. So particular routine for myself, if I'm unable to get to someone and I'm like, okay, I know I'm sore, I'm kind of banged up. Again, going back to the bath, I'm going to soak. Before I get in the tub, I'm going to reach for my toes just to kind of get a stretch, and then while I'm in the water, I will do it again, and then when I get out, I'll do it again. 3 times. In addition to that, if there is a place in particular that's bothering me, or even if not, I'm always going to hit my traps. I have a baseball that I keep in my backpack, and I put that between me and the wall, and I just lean on it. It's that simple. I literally just lean on it, kind of roll around, and just let it bring a lot of that tension out. If I don't have a baseball, neck stretch. I literally just take my neck, just let it relax, roll it around, relieve a lot of the tension that's coming from the traps, coming into the neck, because that can cause headaches, all kinds of stuff. And so literally, if they didn't have a piece of equipment, warm water and a stretch,
That's it.
would help relieve a lot of the tension that causes a lot of those ailments.
Right. Don't need any money for that. Don't need to
Nope.
go anywhere for that.
It was
So it's real
funny.
simple.
You actually mentioned the freezing a bottle of water situation, and that's actually what I do for headaches. So tension builds up in the neck area, things like that. It starts to shoot up. It can cause a headache. So instead of running to, ibuprofen or Tylenol, which is what they sell us to do, literally take a frozen bottle of water, and I just sit it in the back of my neck, and I can literally feel the pressure leave my head and go down and come out, and I'm like, 10 minutes tops, and I'm back to normal. And like, it's simple things like that versus watching TV and they tell you, got this pain, go take this.
Yes.
Yeah. Some simple items that you can have at home, like you said, a baseball to just roll on, foam roller after a workout. I want people to try to learn to do it before it hurts. Make it a natural habit. You worked out today. What did you work out? Get a foam roller. Put aside $5 to $10. You don't need a super fancy one to get the job done. Trust me. And just roll whatever you worked out. Just roll on it, and you'll be surprised as to how much your body won't get sore, won't be stiff, and won't get tight on you, which allows you to go back and work out the next day, because that's one of the biggest excuses. My body hurts so bad I can't do anything.
Yeah, being proactive.
Exactly.
Being proactive with it, no excuses.
Yeah,
you can easily use that soreness as an excuse, but you're giving them solutions now. Before you get started, make sure that you're rolled out. Before you get started, the day before, make sure that you take a hot bath and stretch out so you're not tight when you have to work out.
Yep.
Do it before and after. And these things don't cost much money.
Right.
So that there's really no excuse.
excuse.
We're giving the people good nuggets today. If you're watching online, if you're listening on the podcast, on any of the networks, we're giving you some good nuggets today. But before we wrap up, I want to make sure that whether they are in town or out of town, they know how to connect with you, because you have some online programs that people can subscribe to. You have things locally, a lot of things locally you have going on. So tell the people what you have, where you're at, and how they can connect with you.
They say, you want it or me?
You got it.
So a few different things. One, if you are local, we are actually located in Pearland. Proud to announce that we've partnered with CrossFit Rain. And we host group trainings and things out of there. And worst case scenario, we may actually be able to send someone to you. And even more so, we have a fitness app. And so with that, people, just regardless of where they are, we're actually able to plug in programs and monitor their progress. And then check in with them. And so we can hold you accountable to your goals. It's the next best thing to meeting with us in person, because we're still talking with you, communicating with you. And if we need to, we will have you record yourself so that we can see what exactly is going on and tell you how to adjust it, fix it, that sort of thing.
And I like the app because a lot of times people just need to be told what to do and be held accountable.
Yep.
Right? It's
That's
as
the
simple
biggest deal.
it's as simple as that.
Yep.
I have somebody to report to. Let me get up. It was what we were talking about earlier about having that partner. So just having that accountability, even if it's not in person on the app, can be that motivation that gets you from where you weren't able to achieve your goal to being successful now, because you have someone that's there to support you and guide you. So no matter where you are, And you don't have to be in Pearland, no matter where you are in the city, in the United States. It's the United States app, and anywhere in the United States.
Right. Anywhere.
Anywhere
We're
mobile
we're not
devices
going to
work,
claim
you
that we're
can
just
download
staying
the
here.
app.
Download as
Yeah.
long as you have a phone and you can download the app. You're able to get that accountability, get the workouts are straight in the app. You can track your food, like with MyFitnessPal.
It's a
a
all-in-one.
one-stop shop.
Yep.
They
It's
have
a all-in-one.
because why not?
Why not be great?
All right. What else do you have going on?
And so quite a few different things. We do community workouts, and I tell people all the time, because again, with our motto being we don't want your circumstance to dictate your success, that includes financial. So we have quite a few free resources too that people can tap into that's going to help them be good, and then of course our paid programs take them from good to great.
And all this stuff is on the website, right?
It is at www.whynotbegreat.today. And I do want to point out, if you were to look for the app in the App Store, an account is required to log into it. So you do have to visit our website and create your account first. You are able to create a free account, but you do have to have an account to get into the app. But once you're able to get in, I mean, we'll see it, you'll see it. You can message us directly through it. We get the messages and we personally reply. So
Awesome.
that you are able to, I mean, it's a coaching app. It's an all-in-one. You plug in food, we can see it. You log a workout, we can see it. And so it just, communication is there.
And it's convenient.
Convenient.
Everybody has their phone with them all the time, so there's no excuse for
excuse
them not
for
track. I'm preaching to myself. There's no excuse for not tracking, right?
None. None.
So if they want to see you for your kinesiotherapy services, do they contact you through the website as well? How does that work?
So yes, you can contact me through the website using the same mediums, actually, whether it be through the app, through the website. The information is all there. The office is located in Shadow Creek. It's actually inside of Replenish Cryo and Recovery, so it is a recovery center altogether, and I just happen to offer my services there.
Awesome.
In that suite. So yes, the website, we made it simple. Instead of kinesiotherapy, just click on stretching and massage.
Everyone knows what that is.
Right,
Like,
everyone knows
kinesiotherapy.
what that is. We have a licensed massage therapist as well, and we both have sports medicine backgrounds.
Awesome.
So we're able to cater to the active individual and those who, you've got some type of pain going on. Even if you're not active, we can help you reduce pain and improve performance. Okay?
Awesome. I love that one-stop shop again.
Yep.
Again.
Very convenient. If you're local, you have a one-stop shop. But if you're not local, you have a one-stop shop on the app.
Yep.
And if you're local too, I guess you can have both.
Why
The
not?
best of- 'cause
Why not?
That's the motto.
Why not?
Awesome. Before we close out, is there anything that we did not cover that you guys want to share or that you want to close with for the audience?
One thing I like to talk about or get people to see is back to fitness as medicine is making sure that we understand that exercise reduces stress. It releases endorphins. It creates an overall better quality of life. So I like to utilize literally working out as my therapy. It helps me to deal with I have anxiety, so working out helps me to handle my anxiety well. It helps me to see clear. I hear better. I think differently once I've had my workout. So instead of running to all the prescribed medicines,
Yes.
like let's do something that we know is healthy and already approved. We all know that working out is good for the body, right? What's the negative side effects of actually working out versus the negative side effects of taking 2 to 3 Tylenol every single day when something hurts? Like getting into understanding that you have to preserve your body. It's amazing how we'll take better care of our cell phone than we will our
That is true.
body,
That
or
is
better
true.
care of our vehicles than we do our body. But those things are replaceable, and you are not. So it's important to understand that this medicine, through fitness, is like literally built for the longevity of life, and that's why it's so important.
It is, and you were mentioning stress and anxiety, and we can have an entirely
Whole
different
nother-
show on that, because I always say when people come into actually because it was that way for me, because when I went into the gym, when I went into the dance room, I wasn't thinking about anything else.
But that you get lost
right?
in that moment.
You get lost in that.
which is
If
beautiful.
only for that hour, I wasn't thinking about work. I wasn't thinking about kids. I wasn't thinking about any of the other responsibilities that I had. When I went into that group of people, in that room with those group of people, we had one mission: to dance, sweat, and have fun, and that was it. And that's so therapeutic.
Yep.
People don't even know how therapeutic that is. That 1 hour. But I won't go on about that. I'm just saying that could be an entirely different show. So we're wrapping up. We're near the end of the show, and so the goal of the podcast is to meet every listener where they are, while taking them where they want to be. in a stress-free and manageable way. And by that, I don't like to put too much on people, right?
Right.
We have some people who are watching who are at the beginning stages of their journey. They just need some quick tips. So to close out, it could be things that we've discussed in the show already, but just 3 takeaways that you want to make sure to whomever's listening, whether you're watching by video or you're watching or listening to the audio on one of our many podcasting networks. What are 3 things that people can take away from this conversation and they can start doing right now today to help them utilize movement as medicine more in their daily life?
Can I go first?
Go ahead.
Can I go first? No, this is big. This
Go
is
ahead,
big
Lou.
and it's deep. So why not be great? We have a philosophy or mantra, literally Deuteronomy 28:13. You were made for more. And so that's what I want anybody listening to us right now or whoever gets to watch the video, accept that. Accept that where you are is not where you have to be and it's not where you have to end up. So like if we can tackle mentally, spiritually, inner self, that alone, right? Then we can accept the rest of the nuggets that we've given out throughout this podcast or that we're going to, the extra tips. Just accept the fact that where you are this is not where you have to be. Make the conscious choice and accept the fact that God said you were made for more.
Yes.
So if you're a billionaire right now, you were made for more. So whatever you have, there's more to it, and you have to be willing to go out there and get it. The free resources, utilize it because you were made for more. Your current health situation doesn't have to be your ending health situation because you were made for more. So before we go we get spunked up and we go get the new fitness gear, we go get a gym membership, we have to tackle in our mind first that where I am right now is not where I'm going to be.
All right.
And that there gets you like if you accept that, then you're like, well, where are the resources? Now I'm ready to do it. Because a lot of people don't look at it that way. You got to begin with the end in mind kind of deal. Like, where do you want to be? What's the space between that? Find the people around you, the resources around you to do it. But if you don't change your mindset, you're going to waste every dime and time that you have.
All right, Reverend Lou, you left him with the word, didn't you?
You come see me at the Fellowship of Faith on Sundays.
I don't think we need anything else, do we? You have
Few
something
tips,
else?
few
Okay.
tips. I mean, I would just be piggybacking off the difference between where you are today and where you will be tomorrow is being determined by what you do right now.
Right
and
now.
that is, it all starts here. It all starts here.
So you see why I chose to work with these guys. It's just amazing. The motivation is amazing. I think that's what sets you apart. I think that's what's going to take you far beyond where you can even imagine. And just to know, I'm getting to know you better today, but I appreciate you, Cliff. I appreciate you. You have given the audience some nuggets that they can take away, some inspiration that they can take away, and some tools and tips that they can take away today and start using to improve their lives, because why not be great, right? And also, I don't think we mentioned, too, that you can catch you guys on social media. Follow them on Why Not Be Great on IG.
Yes, so why not be great
Today. Don't
Dot
forget
today.
the dot today. The Why Not Be Great today on Instagram and on Facebook. All right, and the website is whynotbegreat.com. Make sure you catch that. It's
Dot
today to make sure that you get to the right location. So again, thank you guys. We've had an awesome conversation. We went
Loved
over
it.
time, but I think it was well worth it. We could have a part 2 if we needed to, because we
Let
didn't
us
even
know.
get into the depths of what fitness can do as medicine for you.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll have you guys back on a future show, and we can get into that topic as well.
Anytime, every time.
All
Just let us
right.
know.
So in the meantime, you can follow us at the Groovy Beet Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook. The full video of this broadcast, if you're watching, is on. If you're listening, it's also on YouTube. So if you want to watch, you can head there. We're also listed on all podcasting networks. We appreciate you, and until next time, stay groovy.